About 5 years ago, almost, I woke up one Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Doesn't happen so often, but I had a very clear vision in my head. I knew exactly what kind of company I wanted to lead. And I wanted to have the best workplace for creative people. Having worked with designers for a long time, I was really fascinated with that type of working. So the night before, a colleague and I had been discussing how technology is changing everything one more time, and how everything is becoming connected and everything is becoming software driven. If you think about, for example, Tesla, it's really a big software company. They just happen to deliver their functionality through a car. And it's a great car. It is also a great holistic user experience. So I called up my colleague, and that was the start of a new company that we formed together. Meanwhile, here in Trondheim, another design agency were thinking exactly the same thoughts. So we merged, and that was X Design that we became. My name is Ulla Sommerfelt, and I'm the proud leader of X Design. We're now 50 people. And the pure fact that we have grown from 2 to 50 people in less than 5 years says something about where design is heading today. I'll share some of our observations from the marketplace and some of our thoughts about where we're going. But first, how many designers are here today? Congratulations, it's a lot. The rest of you pay attention. And make sure you hook up with some of these guys to give you a career boost. I'm going to talk a little bit about the evolution of design, the way I see it, or the way we see it, in a very informal and non-scientific way. Because ages ago, there were crafts. Form and craft. It's where design comes from. That is something you guys should never forget. It's very important to carry forward, not forget it. It's not like monkeys that turn into men and become Superman. You should never forget the monkey stage. And then designers started to work observing people and needs, taking that into account in the design work. After a while, business requirements became really important to make sure that the product would sell or the service would sell. So designers had to deal with that, understand businesses. And now, especially now in the recent years, technology has become the new design material. Combining these things, we can call it design thinking. A way of thinking about creating something that takes many factors into account. I know a lot of people have thoughts about or opinions about what design thinking is. That's one way of explaining it in an easy way. And today, we really look at the big picture. Design works for designing societies, as Twiz was talking about, really about everything. And there are all these new terms that have entered the scene, like systemic design, service design, and innovation is becoming very, very important to work with as a designer. We do that, almost half of our projects are very innovative and future-oriented projects. So we need to understand the future as well and study that, which can be done actually. So we've created a new model. We call it the pyramid of holisticism. And in the bottom of that, we have form and craft. That's the emotional value of a service or a product. Then we can call the next level problem solving, where people, businesses, and the technology is taken into account. And last but not least, what we're working with now is really where design is transforming businesses. Because businesses today are in trouble because they are too silo-oriented, and they really need to be more customer-oriented. And a lot of big businesses are struggling with that. So we need to teach the business leaders about what their customers actually need and what they think about them, so that can be a motivation for transforming their business. It's a very heavy process. It's a lot easier for a startup or a small company. So, but that's a lot of words. So we try to simplify it a little bit. The first level, the form and craft, is typically something that a client would come and say, they have this product and say, we want this to look great. We want a wow factor. Please make it sexy. And that's what we can call the wow level. Now, when we start looking at other factors together with the client, really opening the perspective a little bit, then he always goes, ha, that's a way of thinking of it. And the last but not least, really, when they understand that they have to transform their business, they go, oh my God. So, let's take a quiz. You have a smartphone? Sure you have used Kahoot before? There's a prize. What's the prize? The prize is Tundra. You know her? Yeah. I have it here. And now I have to just switch the scene here on the Mac. If you're not familiar with Kahoot, it's about answering these questions really fast. Speed is a factor here. It's only going to be 2 questions. Ooh. Very many correct answers there too. You guys know a lot about X design. B-Day Booster. Come get your prize. Otherwise you will come home. In fact, this class is this is our very own first product. We've designed it and produced it ourselves, and that has been a very painful process. It's a lot easier when the customer produces the stuff, but it's been very big learning curve for us, and very useful to know about these things. Okay, so about 10 years ago, we were very concerned about how to sell design. You know, all the designers were trying to bang doors and explain the world about design, and it's really hard to convince everybody. What's happening today really is that everybody is a designer. All the big consultancy agencies want to be designers. They call themselves design thinkers because they can't really do the craft. And today, I think it's really important for designers to know how to best use the power of design. And we can also bring into the perspective of change, because change is happening so fast these days. Change is happening so fast, and speed is picking up. And so is complexity. Now, a few hundred years ago, the biggest invention was fire. The biggest invention that changed people's behavior, is an important point about this, is fire. And this is research done by the Future Studies Institute of Copenhagen that we are a member of. So they say this, and they know what they're talking about when it comes to the past and the future. So they say that fire was the thing that changed people's lives or their behavior the most. And 9,000 years ago, it was the bicycle. Do you know what the latest invention that changed people's lives is? Suggestions. Come on. And what did you say? The smartphone. 10 years ago. The smartphone changed people's lives the most. More than the computer itself, because the smartphone is available in many more areas, and it's online in many more areas of the world than any computer. And you bring it everywhere, right? It controls your life, basically. So that is something to take into account. And the Institute of Future Studies, you can say a lot of good things about them, but their slides really suck. This is one of them. Sorry about that. Anyway, so just to illustrate how fast change is happening, electricity took 46 years to reach the same level of amount of people than whatever. What does it say here? It took 46 years to reach mass consumption, and smartphone took 2 years to reach mass consumption. So everything's happening so much faster now, which is also a reason for big companies to be really afraid of the future. And what we're saying is that holistic design is the most effective approach for meaningful and valuable change. How is that? It's really a lot about how designers work. Designers take people's perspective, which is a little bit new to businesses. They normally take technology perspective, or they take their own perspective. Taking people's perspective is something that designers are really, really good at. And that can give a whole new perspective to any business, even to ours. We also need to go ask people about what they need and how they perceive us. We seldom do that, I must admit. The other thing is that designers experiment, prototype, fail forward. That's a modern way of working these days, failing forward. And designers do that. Always, even from, that's one thing you learn in school. Have a very open mind, not afraid of experimenting or failing. And designers ask questions. You could say stupid questions, but they're not stupid. It's just that nobody has asked those questions before. This is a picture from an Oslo airport that we've done service design in. And part of that job was to do a lot of observations and interviews with people that work at the airport. And nobody has asked the security people about their work and how people perceive security or what the problems are before. Nobody asked those guys, and they are the ones that see the most people at the airport every day. And that we see this happening so often. Let me see a little sip of water. Second. Bringing up new perspectives. And designers thrive in complexity. And as we've discussed, complexity is happening everywhere. It's very risky for many businesses. And that's what designers love to do. Connect the dots and create order and simplicity. And designers are also great at facilitating the process. And I've also observed that designers are great when it comes to multidisciplinary facilitation, work with other disciplines like engineers, technologists, business people, and facilitating that process. And great things come out of co-creation processes like that. And of course, the visualization. I come from the IT industry myself, and I've been in many, many meetings about complex IT problems that took hours and hours of meetings. And after hours and hours of meetings, we understood that we had been discussing several problems, not just one. We also have different images in our head. The minute one person starts drawing, illustrating, that's when the discussions become concrete and you can start solving the problem. It's a very, very powerful tool. Just to repeat myself one more time, create a meaningful and positive change. So, I'm a business person, and the CEOs that I talk to, they say, okay, this sounds nice, but show me the money. Okay, what's the value? And that's very difficult to answer that question very often. And I was really curious about that, so I started digging into the projects and asking the designers, and they're like, oh, we don't measure. Okay. So then I started asking the stupid questions. Why? Well, really is that it's the customer, the owner of the product or the service that have the responsibility for measuring. And especially if you want to measure a difference, you have to start with measuring the baseline. What is the situation today? And then you can measure the improvement after you've made the change. But the designers really never did that, actually. So the next question says, okay, we have to start asking, but we don't ask. We don't ask the clients. And also, we're, as a design agency or as designers, we are involved in very early stages of the processes. And after we have done our job, the client takes over and the product is being produced, programmed, or engineered, or whatever. And it takes forever before it's in the market, right? And we have moved on to new projects. So we kind of lose track of that process. So we have a hard time measuring the effect when it comes down to it. So we started, trying and digging into that a little bit more and be more strict with our clients and say, okay, let's measure. And fortunately, we have some clients who are really into numbers, like D&B. And we have some really good results with one service design project that we did for them. It's called Boligreisen in Norwegian, for buying new homes, getting a loan at the bank, and also being sold to, as a client of the bank. And because of the process, and I don't have time to go into the details about that, but because of the service design project, they have actually increased their sales, and they have also much better hit rates for loans. Hit rate means that they sell more of what they try to sell. That specific project has been documented quite well. It's available at doga.no as a speech between Jan Walter Parr from X and the guy from DNB, Christopher. So it's available it's in Norwegian, but it's subtitled in English as well. So if you go and search for DNB at doga.no, you should find it. Could be very useful. Okay, so another thing we've observed is that design decreases the risk of innovation. I have to drink some more water. How am I doing? I'm sorry. Really perfect. So, this is a classic J curve that's used for investments. In the beginning, of an investment, you have to spend a lot of money to and hopefully make some money afterwards. But it's always very risky because you don't really know if your product's going to fly. You might lose everything, and you might not make as much as you thought, or you might make money. So that's a J curve for investment theory. Very, very simplified. Now, in the old days, like last year, people would start, the businesses will spend a lot of money developing a lot of technology and then try to make a product out of it. So we have very many examples of large engineering companies like Kongsberg, for example, big client of ours. They would spend 3 years working on the technology, and then they would call us a year or two before the product was supposed to go out in the market and make it beautiful, make it work for people. It's also been very good business for us, but last year they came to us and said, okay, now we want to start from the beginning. We're going to launch something new in 2020, and we really don't know what it's going to be. So we want you guys to start with the design process instead of the technology. And that's happening now, so that's really cool. And what that does is that it's a lot less risky, because designers, we stop and validate before we start digging into the heavy investment of technology. So we can work for a long time with insight and with validation of the prototypes and ideas before the development of the technology actually starts. So you can decrease the risk of innovation, and you can decrease the cost, the investment itself. You understand that model? Good. I made it myself. Okay, good. So what we say is today's winners put design at the core of their business. Some examples, of course, that you know. Some of them have been started by designers, actually. And they're born online, they're born global, and they're born customer-centric. They know that the customers is everything. Another thing that's happening is that many design agencies are being swallowed by the big whales, so to speak. That's a trend. So McKinsey has bought a design agency, Accenture has bought a design agency. Many of the big consultancies are buying design agencies these days. It's a sign that there is a consolidation happening in the market. But what is also interesting is that they're not absorbing them, integrating them into their suit and tie business. They're letting them live their own life because they don't want to kill their creativity. That's good, at least. Okay, so being the leader of the world's best creative nest, I'm really happy to be here today. We have some very important roots from this university. Half of the designers come out of NTNU, and the rest of them also have master in industrial design, but from other universities. So thanks very much for listening, and if you want to go to our website, you can see some more of the cases, and you're welcome to contact me or anybody else in the company anytime. Thank you.